Hello, everyone. My name is Mia van Leeuwen, theatre artist and assistant professor at the University of Lethbridge in Southern Alberta, and visitor here on Treaty 7 territory. I want to acknowledge that I'm living and working in Blackfoot Confederacy territory and in Métis Region 3. I am delighted to be contributing to International Mountain Day by reading sections from Angie Abdou's The Canterbury Trail. This book is a dark comedy that follows 14 mountain pilgrims on their way to the backcountry hut Camelot. Geoffrey Chaucer meets Canadian ski town. This book is a hell of a ride. It showcases a cross-section of ski town society and reminds us of the multiple voices that shape alpine reality. The book begins by giving voice to each one of the 14 snow enthusiasts. So I will begin by introducing you to Soar. Let me just make sure that you can, oh yes, there it is, the book. The book is very important to see here as part of our reading. An unexpected dump of spring snow had put smiles on everyone's faces. Loco posed knee-deep in the snowbank, one hand pointing at the "I love big dump" sticker on the back of his truck, the other holding his huge skis high above his head, tips pointing heavenward. His ski pants sat low on his hips, revealing the waistband of his Patagonia underwear, and he wore a long-sleeved blue t-shirt with "Give her like your mom on prom night" in loud red letters across his chest. Soar captured this moment on his new video camera, a bargain on eBay. A good shot of Loco holding his skis like they were weapons, and he, the bloodthirsty warrior, would be the perfect opening frame for the film they planned to make this weekend. Colton's backcountry terrain begged to be captured on a kick-ass ski video. The rugged rock faces, chest-deep powdery fluff, 20-foot cliffs wide open for hucking yourself off. You couldn't ask for a better setting. They planned to set the whole thing to Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name of. They'd include all the mandatory footage, steep descents, huge drops, wicked stunts, gnarly crashes, but they do it with their own special Colton rippy style, a sort of redneck hippie fusion. While Soar and Loco worked out the details of their masterpiece, F-Bomb occupied himself loading 3 pairs of skis and other skiing paraphernalia into Loco's rusted truck bed. It was too late to ride the lifts on the local hill. It all had shut down a week ago. But there's no way they'd miss out on this fat offering from the snow gods. They'd been awake since 7 this morning, packing their gear. One last hike into the backcountry, one last weekend shredding the POW would cap their season perfectly. One last crusade up the cunt into Camelot, then they'd go their own ways for the summer. F-Bomb knew he was in for 3 months of hell, tree planting up in northern BC. Shitty weather, no showers, no chicks, no breaks, muscle spasms, breakfast in the dark, sun blisters, cracked dry hands, soggy tent living. Oh, and fucking mosquitoes. Mosquitoes in his ears and his nose and his eyes. He wouldn't be able to sit still for a second or be black with the ravenous little parasites. One slap on his thigh and his hand would be a stewy mess of bug guts and human blood. But F-Bomb was going back. Realistically, nothing else would give him the cash he needed in order to dedicate himself to another winter of living the life. Every year he wished summer would never come. Perpetual Canadian winter would be his idea of heaven. Perpetual Colton winter. Colton, a place famous for its big mountains and non-stop precipitation. A place where how fast you would ski was the best measure of your worth as a human being. "I'm on the national ski team," he'd say with a smirk when people asked him what he was doing for the winter. National, only in the sense of funded by the nation's tax dollars. A spring and summer of tree planting and a winter of employment insurance would keep him in craft dinner, beer, and lift tickets for one more season. Then he'd figure out what to do next. Loco and Soar's off-season looked to be shaping up better than his, or easier at least. Loco's dad managed a crew at the mine and landed him them jobs driving truck, supposedly permanent jobs. The word permanent had a sickening flow to it, causing a pain that radiated out from F-Bomb's liver, spreading slowly through his internal organs and grinding its way along its limbs. permanent, as in starting this spring and lasting ever so tortuously through eternity. That was Loco's dad's intention anyway. But Loco and Sora let on that they might work, another, another awful word, work, for the spring, summer, and maybe even the fall. But they'd for sure fly as soon as the snow did. Sora'd be able to get away with that, but F-Bomb wondered if Loco could really stand up to his minor father. At 23, Loco had already stolen more than his share of time to rip around the mountain. If he was going to try for one more season of pure skiing, he'd have to find another ski town, far away from Colton and his father. On this glorious, snowy April morning, though, no sign of worry over future employment showed on Loco's face. He and Sora hovered above the 3 backpacks that slumped, gape-mouthed on the porch of the rented miner's shack. The piece of shit housing slanted to one side as if someone had kicked it in its right kneecap. F-Bomb knew the foundation had to be sinking. It sure wouldn't be the only rental property in town with a sinking foundation. All the landlords holding fast to their slums, waiting for the new golf course and ski hill upgrades. Something to drive real estate up, up, and up. Soon the land would be worth a fortune, and the landlord would sell to some city slickers, shitty slickers more like it, who'd tear the shack down and build themselves $1 million mountain chalet to watch the $1 million view, shimmering snow-capped peaks in every direction. Then they'd act like they'd discover Colton, like the whole place sat empty before they arrived. Columbus had nothing over these arrogant pricks from the big shitty. Okay, we are now going to meet Alison Batts. Alison Batts is from Toronto, and she also wants to be there right from the beginning when this snow has blessed Colton with its dump. With her right ass cheek slid halfway up Sora's thigh and her left breast plopped against F-Bomb's shoulder, Alison sat exactly where she wanted to be, sandwiched between 2 warm young men like these who needed coffee. They made her blood course faster, her heart dance in its cage, her skin sing with warmth. Alison was raring to go. Take me to the backcountry if you must, just take me. Loco swore under his breath and pulled his truck to the side of the road. He whistled a high-pitched protest through the big space where 3 front teeth were meant to be. Alison couldn't make out the street from the parking lane, from the sidewalk. All pure white flakes falling so fast now that the headlights into the oncoming lane were barely visible. Thank God she wasn't driving. The 401 in Toronto she could handle. She could predict what the inane things other Torontonians might do. That danger she knew. She could never predict what the Colton weather might do, and that terrified her. See all the hard-packed snow on the road, the steep hill? Loco asked, as if to the windshield wipers. This is when you need a 4x4. He cranked a lever down by F-Bomb's leg, forcing F-Bomb to jump over and squish Alison so far onto Sora that she could smell the plastic pine scent of his pit stick. She pushed her like her clad butt farther into his crotch, barely listening to Loco. He delivered 3 soliloquies, entirely for his own benefit anyway. That's what drives me crazy about this town, Loco continued. All the moronic tourists who don't know a 4x4 from their ass. Oh, I'm in the mountains now. I'd better put my shiny new SUV in 4x4. He lowered his voice an octave and continued as himself. You don't use 4x4 on dry, paved roads ever. Any mountain local knows that. Fastest way to destroy your differential. Those imbeciles from the city buy off-road vehicles when the paved road to the ski hill is as close as they'll ever come to off-roading. Checking the 4x4 light had indeed come on, Loco eased the truck behind into the traffic, inching along so slowly that a pedestrian could have made better progress. He clicked his tongue, piercing against a lonely eye tooth in a way that seemed to Alison at odds with his seriousness. Alison had found Loco's triads humorous when she first met him in the fall, but he hadn't exactly grown on her throughout the winter. If anything, he was more the kind of guy that receded on you. At first, she thought he was sort of joking, acting out a character, a version of himself. But when he didn't come out of it for a week, then a month, then a whole season, she realized he was indeed serious. The loco you saw was the loco you got. He truly believed himself spokesperson of Colton by virtue of his ancestry. Unless his peers could claim a grounding of at least 3 generations in Colton, which none of them seemed to be able to do, they had no right to an opinion on skiing technique, on gardening practices, on streaking procedure, on strip club etiquette, on resource extraction, on anything. She slid her fingers up Soar's warm neck and tangled them into his dreadlocked mess of blonde hair. Soar's breath smelled of pot as it usually did. Allison didn't mind. She liked the smell. Though she never smoked the stuff anymore, she'd come to Colton on a research mission and didn't need to numb her senses. Pot made her truly stupid. Just after she arrived in Colton, she'd shared a joint with Soar, and her whole face went numb. That never happened in Toronto, but this BC stuff fell in a category all its own. The Alberta-BC border crossing should bear a warning. Welcome to British Columbia. Our marijuana is very strong here. So that concludes my reading today. What happens when all the mountain pilgrims meet in the ski hut, intoxicated by their various views on mountains, is something definitely worth digging into. Thank you for listening to my mountain reading. Bye from Canada for now.